Hey techies, welcome or welcome back to kaetalkstech. I'm Kay, let's talk tech. What's on my mind today is agile or agile, however you want to say it. That project methodology that a lot of people are using now. I feel like I'm living in agile gone wild, right? Because people have gone wild with this. First of all, can we all just take a breath and calm down with the agile? Um, I think it's a great methodology if it's done right, and a lot of you are not doing it right. Just stick to the book. Don't try to make it fancy, okay? That was a problem to begin with. Um, and don't try to make it do what it was never intended to do, right? If you're running, whether you're running Scrum or Kanban or something else, Agile is for developers. It's not for business analysts. It's not for other teammates. Well, I guess you can put the QA team and the DAs in there, but for people who are doing long-term analysis, no. It's not even really for data analysts to some degree. If you have a technical data analyst and they're just writing scripts, that's fine. But if they have to understand the data and they're doing tasks where they need to make sure that certain concepts are appropriately represented in the data, that's not for Agile either. It's not for it's not a thing that you can say, okay, here's some very small tasks that they can do on this for this sprint. No, because it's one big long task, and analysis is very difficult to break up into smaller tasks, right? What I usually just, in terms of the analysis that I usually get, is just a black box almost. They just give me a big ball of tangled yarn and say, listen, we need you to straighten this out, right? And that's not really something you can track on the board. It doesn't lend itself to Jira, okay? Especially if you are averse to rolling stories over to the next sprint. What are you guys doing? That's what I want to say to a lot of the Scrum Masters. What are you guys doing? I feel sad for what I see happening in tech, just from a technophile perspective, from the perspective of a person who loves to work in software development. Okay, let me just go through it. First of all, Agile does not mean no documentation, okay? You still got to have documentation. Why? Because in 3 years, when the person that thought of this and why they thought of it doesn't work there anymore, and you need to know what decision was made, why it was made, and how it was intended to work, what are you going to do when it's not written down? Okay, it doesn't have to be a 40-page BRD, but you need to write at least what I call an understanding document. That's a term that I picked up from in my travels as a consultant. I didn't come up with it, but it's a very nice little document where you tie together all the disparate pieces that are going into the project. So maybe there's a data flow, and there's a just a little blurb on what the project is supposed to do, just a couple of paragraphs, and maybe there are some test plans that were written, and maybe there's like a data mapping document, stuff like that. You tie that all together in one place so that when you need to trace back what's happening or you want to add to something, you have it written down. I can tell you that in 100% of the places that I've worked where things were not written down, they had a problem 100% of the time. I've never been anywhere where they did not do the appropriate documentation and did not have an issue with it later. And when I say appropriate, I mean the right fit, not tons and tons and tons of things that have to be written first, which is the main complaint about waterfall. But not every project lends itself to Agile. Some projects are best handled via waterfall, especially analysis, because you need to be able to pick up a thread and run with it and run it down and beat it down through all its appropriate levels till you get to there's no more analysis to do. You have to keep asking why until you come up with something atomic, right? So that's what analysis is. And when you start trying to track that on the Kanban board or in Jira, you are doing yourself a disservice, because now you've turned it into get this done in a specific amount of time, not do the best job on the analysis you can do. So I can do some surface level analysis and meet your deadline, but did you want me to meet a deadline, or did you want the analysis done to the best of my ability? Because it's not just me that has to figure into that equation. Do I need access to particular systems in order to see certain information? Are the SMEs that I need to talk to available? Right? And you shouldn't be doing the analysis at the same time that the developer is trying to code. You need to be 2, 3, 4 sprints out ahead of the team. So if a team is working on something today, that analysis should have completed a minimum of 2 weeks ago. Minimum. Right? But you guys have just gone crazy with the Agile configurations. I want to say something about safe Agile, but I think I'm going to leave that for another video, because I want to talk about that too. So if you're going to set up an Agile shop, just go by the book, okay? Make your sprints 2 weeks, and you can tweak it as you go along. But if you go as close to the book as possible in setting up your Agile, I think it's going to work a lot better. And also, the people on the team need to be techies. No non-techies on the Scrum teams. Please stop that. Please. Because you think it's such a great idea to have the business right there with the developers, but it's really not. It's not. That's why you have a technical product owner and a business systems analyst to fill that position and be the liaison between the business and the developers. It actually slows development down to have the product people or the business people on the Scrum team, because now you're forcing the developers into doing analysis, and they also have to account for the non-technical understanding of the business people. So you're kind of forcing the developers to all be little BSAs as well. That's against best practices. Best practices is let the developers keep their hands on the code. That way you have more throughput. That way you can have things happen simultaneously. You can have somebody running down analysis while somebody else is working on code. But if the person working on code has to stop to run down analysis, whether it's on their current project or a future project, you have just reduced the number of software development hours. Okay, so that's it. That's all I have for you today. If you need help with your career, or you need some fractional project consulting or full-time project consulting, visit my website, kaetalkstech.com. Like the video, share the video, and then come back here again when we will continue to talk tech.